Hey, my name is Damian Williams. I'm an attorney here at Varghese Summersett. I'm a partner in the injury law group. And so what I do is I litigate catastrophic injury cases and also fatality cases. So if you're coming to me or if your case lands on my desk, some sort of terrible tragedy has befallen you or your family. So it's my job to help families seek justice when someone's been either catastrophically injured or killed as a result of a person or a company's negligence or gross negligence. Before starting at Varghese Summersett, before becoming a lawyer, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I was actually born and partially raised in the mountains of West Virginia, but I left there when I was a little kid and I was raised in Los Angeles. And then I spent some time in St. Louis for law school where I met my wife. We've been here in Texas ever since. Where did I go to school? So I went to a few. I'm very proud to say that I am a community college graduate. I grew up in Southern California for the most part, and I went to Long Beach City College, community college in Long Beach, California. I got my associate's there, my associate's degree there, and then I transferred to the University of Southern California. I majored in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern history, among, a little bit of coursework in economics and political science, but I was a history major and then worked for a couple of years before going to law school. And I went to law school at Washington University in St. Louis. I love St. Louis. It was a great opportunity to go to such an amazing law school. I definitely look fondly on those times. So what got me interested in the law? I would say a couple things. First and foremost, I think I was instilled with a sense of justice growing up. My parents grew up in segregated West Virginia, and so by the time I came along, I got to hear stories of them marching during the civil rights era and the importance of really public service. I come from a long line of those who have served our country in the military, but also in public service, and so I knew that at some point I wanted to do that, and I think it started with being in law school, working in the community, and then that got me into law school, working at first at the district attorney's office, and then now doing what I do now for Varghese Summersett, which is help families recover after a terrible tragedy. So before I joined Varghese Summersett, I was an attorney doing kind of the same things that I'm doing now. I worked for a wonderful firm here in Dallas, which is both throughout the state and nationally recognized as one of the premier practices in catastrophic injury and fatality cases on the plaintiff side. And so there I was able to gain a skill set that most people don't have, litigating at a high level. And then I've been able to take my skills here to Varghese Summersett and, work with an incredible team to try and help these families seek justice. How did I join VS? Well, it starts with my boss, actually. So Ty Stimson, the leader and founder of the injury law group here, the personal injury group at Varghese Summersett. He and I actually came up in the DA's office in Dallas County. And so we were trial partners together as young attorneys. And when the opportunity came up to join him again, it was something I think that we both really wanted to do. And so now we're partners together, and our job is to seek justice for families. And one of the best ways to do that is to force companies and corporations to pay up when, a tragedy has befallen someone, when they're sitting in a wheelchair or unfortunately they're no longer alive. It's our job to seek fair compensation for those families for everything they've gone through. So meeting Benson and Anna was also amazing because I've seen from afar for the last few years how the firm has grown and just been very impressed with them. And I knew that this, quite honestly, had the structure and the team here that could grow a personal injury practice and really sustain it for the future. What is my proudest accomplishment in my career? Well, I think there are a few. One, and I know this is maybe kind of cheesy to say, but it's just day in, day out, being able to come in, put on the white hat, take out our sword and fight for fairness and justice. That being said, I've been really lucky to be a part of some significant cases for people. I've had dozens of settlements now of, in the 6 and 7 figures, 8 figures. And so my goal is to always seek the most amount of recovery I can from a client. At the end of 2024, I was fortunate enough to get $7.5 million for a client who lost his leg in an oilfield incident. I'm pretty proud of that. But, even just recently, we were able to get the insurance policy limits on a trucking fatality case. And we're also developing a pretty good niche here on sexual assault cases and also cases involving the abuse of children. And so I'm really proud of the work that we're doing currently. What do I see for my future at Varghese Summersett? Well, if you ask me, it's expanding expanding the division. It's expanding the injury law group. I would love to have more attorneys in the group and more paralegals and more assistants in the group, more case managers in the group, so we can help more families, quite honestly. We have a small and manageable docket right now. I think we can expand it a little bit further over time, but it's going to take some while, some grit and determination. But I see our group growing, and fortunately for us, we have a wonderful group of interns to draw from and train them along the way. So if someone were to ask me and I were to kind of, explain what I'm looking forward to, it's just to continue to be here and to work as hard as we can. What do I see for the future of Varghese Summersett as a whole? I think I see growth potential, and not just growth potential, but to me, it's really important as lawyers that if you take your job serious as a lawyer, that one of the other things you're doing is you're taking care of the community. It's important to take care of your community, right? And I think that's a good reflection of not just a law firm, but also individual lawyers. So treating everyone the same, regardless of their position, I think is something that we do well here at Varghese Summersett. And so I think that with the great business minds of our owners and our division leaders, I really do think we're poised to continue to grow and to continue to positively affect the community. Let me say this, I have a tough job, right? I talk to people who maybe they've been assaulted, maybe they've lost their loved one. Maybe they lost their loved one in a really tough way, in a fire or in a work accident, or they were hit by an 18-wheeler. But the thing that keeps me going is knowing that I've never gone through something as bad as what that family had to deal with. I've never been a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. And so I'm able to get up every day and I'm able to know that when I put this suit on, that I'm ready to go to war. And that's against the insurance companies. That's against these companies and corporations who don't want to pay their fair share. And so if I can add anything, I would encourage people to give us a shot, because there are some very, very, very qualified and highly, highly talented lawyers at this firm. And I think we do a great job.